Alright guys, I am back with my review of the WWE Payback 2013 pay-per-view. And I'm going to get right into this one because there's a lot to talk about with this show. My god, it's like 4 pages of notes. So, starting with the pre-show kickoff, Damian Sandow versus Sheamus. Throughout the show, they had Big Show, Cody Rhodes, and R-Truth doing the whole rundown segments where they're talking about the show and what they thought of the matches that just happened. And the only reason I point this out is because Big Show was acting kind of like a babyface here. All his picks to win were baby faces. Like he had Cena going over, I think he had Del Rio going over. So it was kind of different for him since he's been a huge heel lately. Sandow hits the neck breaker on Sheamus, but he kicks out. Sheamus hits the backbreaker 3 times, the bro kick for the win. It was alright. I didn't think it was anything more than what you would typically see on a SmackDown, and predictable finish. It was okay for a pre-show match. Then Payback starts, and they show this little video of a lame-ass 1930s gangster talking about Payback. This was so freaking cheesy, I couldn't even believe it. Thank God they only showed it once. And the guy who was playing the gangster looked kind of like Billy Joel. It was just complete shit. So then we get Miz versus Curtis Axel versus Barrett for the Intercontinental title. Axel hits the perfect plex on Barrett, but Miz breaks it up. Miz hits skull crushing finale on Axel, but Barrett tries to steal the pin. Miz pulls him out. Covers Axel, but he's had time to recover, so he kicks out. Then Miz gets Barrett in the figure 4. Axel runs in and lays on top of Barrett and gets the win. So, new Intercontinental Champion. I thought this was a pretty good match here. All 3 guys worked very hard. So this was good, and I'm glad they put the belt on Axel. I think it's a good idea. Plus, he's the only one of the 3 they're really actually doing anything with. Backstage, Axel runs into Triple H. And they just kind of stare at each other. Then Vince comes up and says, congratulations, kid. And he tells Triple H, you can't wait to see that match with Triple H versus Axel on Raw. And Triple H says no. Kaitlyn versus AJ for the Divas title. Teddy apparently fined Kaitlyn $10,000 for attacking the referee on SmackDown. So I'm glad they brought that up and mentioned that. Kaitlyn rips off AJ's belt. AJ hits her with it, but Kaitlyn kicks out. AJ goes for the Black Widow, but Kaitlyn powers out and spears her. But instead of covering her, she blows her a kiss or some shit. And then AJ kicks out. She goes for the Black Widow again, and this time Kaitlyn taps. So AJ becomes the new Divas champion. It was a great match. Afterwards, Kaitlyn's crying, and the fans chant, "You tapped out." And then Layla comes out to try and console her. Good match, though. Backstage, Layla, Alicia, and Natalya are talking to Kaitlyn and trying to cheer her up, and she just leaves. Kane versus Ambrose for the U.S. title. They actually show poor Kaitlyn is trending worldwide, which I can't even believe. But fans were behind Ambrose here, and Jerry Lawler actually mentions that Dean Ambrose is like Heath Ledger's version of the Joker. Which is funny because I have a friend of mine who's constantly telling me that. Kane tries to chokeslam Ambrose through the announce table, but Ambrose DDTs him on the floor. Kane can't make it back into the ring in time, so he gets counted out. Ambrose wins the match. This match was kind of just, didn't really care for it. Crowd seemed kind of dead too. A video hyping RVD returning for Money in the Bank in Philadelphia. I guess they can mention RVD now because they kind of avoid talking about him when they bring up Money in the Bank, so at least they can bring him up now. But yeah, I'm not really sure what to think about this. I know he's going to get a huge pop. I mean, it's going to blow the roof off the place because people are chanting RVD all night here. And in Philadelphia, it's going to be even crazier. I mean, the place is going to go nuts, but that's going to be awesome to see. But as far as RVD actually doing matches in WWE, I just have to wait and see what kind of condition he's in for this. I mean, I don't know if he's going to actually try to work hard, because I know when a lot of guys go to TNA, they kind of phone it in. It's TNA. But RVD, he's going to get paid a lot more money, and it's WWE. It's what's going to be remembered. People are going to remember this run. I think if RVD shows up and works hard and really busts his ass, then this could be great for WWE. But if it's the same RVD we saw in TNA, I could live without him, to be honest. I thought he kind of sucked in TNA for those last few matches he had. And I can really only think of maybe 2 matches he had in TNA that really I thought were great. And one of them was that ladder match with Bobby Roode. So, it really depends on what type of shape RVD shows up in. If he's there to really work hard, or if he's there to phone it in and just act like this is another gig like TNA. But then we get Dolph versus Del Rio for the world title. Fans were behind Dolph here. Del Rio keeps attacking Dolph's head because he got the concussion, so he's just kicking him in the head repeatedly, slamming his head into the mat, slamming his head into the announce table. Big E pushes Del Rio, and Del Rio pushes him back, so the ref throws Big E out. Dolph takes a reverse suplex off the top rope, but he kicks out. The doctors are checking on Dolph, and Del Rio kicks him in the head. And then the doctor's still checking on him. Dolph doesn't want to quit. He wants to continue the match. Del Rio kicks him in the head again while the doctor's checking on him, and Ricardo's like, he's fine, he's fine. So they were trying to make it look like Dolph just refuses to quit. He won't give up. He hits a zigzag, but he's too weak to cover Del Rio. Del Rio kicks him in the head one more time and gets the win. New world champion. Everybody's saying that they're turning Del Rio heel here, and I guess turning Dolph face, which could be good for Dolph. I mean, maybe he'll finally start winning some matches without having to have constant interference. So this could be good for Dolph getting a babyface turn, but and I prefer Del Rio as a heel, so I hope that's where they're going. If that is not where they're going with this, then I don't understand it. It makes Del Rio the worst babyface ever, just a complete dickhead. So that's where they have to be going, I can only imagine. But Del Rio comes back out and asks for the fan support. Says he always comes out, puts his body on the line for them. So I guess they thought maybe they should send him back out to try to make it clear that Del Rio's turning heel, but it's still kind of a toss-up. They could go either way. Then they show a "Please try this at home" commercial. And the only reason I mention that is because the "do not" was so dark I couldn't even see it, and it looked like it just said, "Please try this at home." Punk versus Jericho. Jericho gets Punk in the walls, and Punk just kind of climbs up Jericho, and Jericho just continues to hold on to Punk's legs. It was weird. Jericho gets caught in the Anaconda Vice, gets the ropes. Punk goes for the GTS, but Jericho gets him in the walls again. Heyman walks up the steps and distracts Jericho, and then Punk gets Jericho up for the GTS again, and he sees Heyman, and this distracts Punk. He's got him up, and he's like, "Paul?" Like, what the fuck is so shocking about this? I don't understand why this distracted CM Punk, but it allows Jericho to escape. Punk hits the elbow in the GTS, but Jericho kicks out. Punk fights off the walls again, hits the GTS. Jericho bounces out of the corner. Punk hits another GTS, gets the win. It was a good match. I didn't think it was anything really amazing. I think they've had better matches than this, but it was good. Orton and Daniel Bryan versus Rollins and Reigns for the tag titles. Daniel Bryan gets the hot tag, and he goes to dive on the Shield, but the Shield moves and he hits Orton. He hits a double underhook suplex on Rollins from the top, gets him in the no lock, but Reigns breaks it up. Orton tries to RKO Reigns, he pushes him off, and then he tries to spear Orton, and Orton throws Daniel Bryan in the way of the spear. Orton RKO's Reigns. Rollins throws Orton out of the ring and stomps Daniel Bryan's face into the mat for the win. So they're still teasing this whole Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan just can't get along. Then it's the main event. 3 stages of hell. Ryback versus Cena for the WWE title. this match, crowd just really died for it, but I can't blame them because I was getting kind of burnt out at this point too. After Punk Jericho, the tag match I didn't really care much for. It wasn't bad. I liked the finish of the tag match. It felt like SmackDown to me. And then when you got the main event, I didn't really think it was a bad match. The 3 Stages of Hell was okay, but it was average. This entire show was the definition of average, really. I mean, it had some bad stuff, and then the other stuff was just okay. Nothing was really, really good on here, I thought. But Ryback gets thrown out of the ring. Cesaro's trying to help him up. Ryback pushes him, and then all hell breaks loose. The Lumberjacks start fighting with each other. Cena climbs up the top rope. He kind of botches it a little and falls back down. But then he climbs back up, and he dives on top of everyone. And what was so funny about this is everybody falls, except for maybe a couple guys. But one of them was Sin Cara. And Sin Cara is just standing there while everybody falls, and then he just fucking falls over. I mean, this guy sucks. I mean, Sin Cara, it's time to send him packing. It's not working out. And it's just dumbass shit like this. Like, he's standing there, everybody falls, and then he just kind of falls over. But they showed the replay so many times, I just kept watching Sin Cara. Ryback hits Shell Shock for the first fall. So it's a tables match. Cena sets up a table. Ryback charges him with the steel steps. And Cena kind of blocks it, but then he just lays on the table anyway. And Ryback throws the steps through the table and breaks it. They did this spot twice, actually, with the steps and the table. But Cena hits the AA through the table for the second fall. And one thing I've noticed about Ryback, I like watching Ryback set up tables. Because when Ryback sets up a table, he actually clicks the little things down. And then he always touches the top to make sure it's sturdy. And sometimes it still fucks up. Like they had a table he set up fall over in the beginning of the match. But it's just hilarious because he sets up every table the exact same way. So the ambulance match. Ryback gets right up after the AA. Powerbomb Cena through the announce table. They fight up to the ambulance. Ryback tries to punch Cena, but he dodges and his hand goes through the window. That's when the fans should start chanting Goldberg. But Cena whips Ryback into an open door. He knocks the door off. They try to use it as a weapon. Cena tries to put Ryback in the driver's seat, like that's going to win him the match. I mean, they wouldn't even be able to drive him away. It doesn't make sense, but he tries to put him in the driver's seat. Ryback fights out. Ryback rips off a piece of the ambulance. This was kind of silly. It was entertaining. Like, I like the ambulance part of the match, but it was silly to see them like ripping the car apart. But he tries to use a piece of the ambulance as a weapon. Ryback takes a windshield bump. And that's when I was just thinking they needed blood. Because all these bumps into the glass, like he's in the windshield, he puts his hand through the window, and no blood. I mean, get the fuck out of here with that. So Cena hits the AA on top of the ambulance, and Ryback goes through the roof. Cena wins. He just goes straight through the roof. So Cena retains. That was the end of Payback. And like I said earlier, this was really just an average show. Excuse me. I mean, the epitome of average. The main event was just okay. Punk Jericho I thought was good, but it wasn't really anything special. So I have to say that this pay-per-view wasn't really everything it could be. I did think we would get some great matches out of it, but even then I felt like they could have done more. So I was a little disappointed with Payback. It wasn't a bad show, it didn't impress me, and I've said this many times, for what they charge, definitely not worth the money. No way in hell was Payback worth the money they charge. So anyways, that's my review of WWE's Payback 2013. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this pay-per-view in the comments, and thanks for watching. Bye. Easy, I couldn't even believe it. Thank God they only showed it once. And the guy who was playing the gangster looked kind of like Billy Joel. It was just complete shit. So then we get Miz versus Curtis Axel versus Barrett for the Intercontinental title. Axel hits the perfect plex on Barrett, but Miz breaks it up. Miz hits skull-crushing finale on Axel, but Barrett tries to steal the pin. Miz pulls him out. Rundown segments where they're talking about the show and what they thought of the matches that just happened. And the only reason I point this out is because Big Show was acting kind of like a babyface here. All his picks to win were baby faces. Like, he had Cena going over, I think he had Del Rio going over. So it was kind of different for him since he's been a huge heel lately. Sandow hits the neck breaker on Sheamus, but he kicks out. Sheamus covers Axel, but he's had time to recover, so he kicks out. Then Miz gets Barrett in the figure four. Axel runs in and lays on top of Barrett and gets the win. So, new Intercontinental Champion. I thought this was a pretty good match here. All three guys worked very hard. So this was good, and I'm glad they put the belt on Axel. I think it's a good idea. Plus, he's the only one of the three they're really actually doing anything with. Backstage, Axel backbreaker 3 times, the bro kick for the win. It was alright. I didn't think it was anything more than what you would typically see on a SmackDown, and predictable finish. It was okay for a pre-show match. Then Payback starts, and they show this little video of a lame-ass 1930s gangster talking about Payback. This was so freaking cheap. Alright guys, I am back with my review of the WWE Payback 2013 pay-per-view. And I'm going to get right into this one because there's a lot to talk about with this show. My god, it's like 4 pages of notes. So, starting with the pre-show kickoff, Damian Sandow versus Sheamus. Throughout the show, they had Big Show, Cody Rhodes, and R-Truth doing the whole